Welcome to Adventures in Cadillac on 107.1 The Drive. This is our collaboration between the Cadillac Area Visitors Bureau and the radio station, talking about things that are going on in the community. And Lindsey Westdorp is the marketing manager, and she's my co-host today. And Lindsey, good morning.
Good morning.
What is going on in and around Cadillac? We are June 1st. Here we go. Full speed ahead.
We made it through May.
We did make it through May.
What is not going on in Cadillac?
Everything is going on in Cadillac, and you're at the forefront of it, and that's really what this show is all about, to explain to local folks what is happening in and around the Cadillac area and what the Visitors Bureau is doing to promote the Cadillac area around the state, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And so we're busier than we've ever been. It's a good problem to have. But we just came out of a pretty good spring for everyone. Good reports through this first month or more of the golf season. So we're getting really good feedback on that. We have put some extra investment into that segment.
What? Tell us, now that we're 2 months down the road from winter. The winter that wasn't.
Yeah.
What are your partners telling you about the winter of 2023-24?
Well,
was it a struggle?
Absolutely, a struggle for some more than others. And then we had some really savvy hospitality partners that made the most of what they had to work with, and they came through good enough,
What did they have to do to survive a winter that had very little snow?
Well, from our office, from our Visitors Bureau perspective, we focused on the things that we could control as far as the activities that don't require large amounts of snow on the ground, like snowmobiling, ice on the lakes for ice fishing. That was really tough, and that was one. Like I'm growing, or I'm coming to expect these warmer winters. It's not really a shock to me, but when we don't have ice on our lakes, that threw us for a loop, and so we tried to push some extra traffic to those businesses that hurt the most, and that was the toughest part, I think. But outside of that, we've seen some really interesting developments. One being like the Venue Event Center and those concerts that they're bringing to town. And holy cow, when they're throwing these shows on Thursday nights, on Tuesday nights in February in Cadillac, where there's no winter activities, it's a big deal for us.
It filled a niche, and you and I were just talking about this. For the longest time, Cadillac was in a valley as far as live entertainment goes. Yes, lots of local acts, lots of very, very talented people locally.
For sure.
But bringing name acts to town, acts with name recognition.
Yep. It's been a long time.
In my perspective, I thought we in Cadillac were never going to have that anymore because there wasn't a place large enough to host the amount of people that it would take to bring an act like that and meet their asking price. But the truck stop and the Venue Event Center and Jeremy Rose and Sean Reddick have done wonders. They really have, and those shows are packed.
Yeah, they are just, I don't know that they have any time off, and they're just working, they're grinding every day, and they're making announcements every day, and they've got some serious momentum behind them, and I know, they plan on bigger things ahead, and so we're right there to support them, and in any way we can.
And you gave them an award recently.
We did.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
They were one of our award winners, so we just had our tourism celebration at the Venue Event Center, and it was very nice. The food is excellent. Everything I've had to eat there has been really, really good. But we had our annual partner meeting, and then after that, we had a nice presentation and some dinner. But we gave away our annual awards. So they got it's actually a newly named award. Because we had to find a category for them to fit, as we called it the Trailblazer Award. And so, to Jeremy Rose, to the staff at the event center, and like I said, we're just excited to see where they are a year from now, 2 years from now, because these people that they bring to Cadillac, they don't just They just take really good care of them. You can tell, and they keep those connections with them. And so every act they book, it builds to the next one, and they just keep building more connections. And they bring them down to the high school to see the KISS monument, and they really just do a great job of being an ambassador of our town to these outside people.
And the word gets around in the concert industry that if you come to Cadillac, you're going to be well taken care of by those folks.
I really think that's their key to success so far, because they're getting pretty far in a really short amount of time. So that was the point of that award. Some other awards we gave out. Louisa Longstreet manages two of our largest properties in Cadillac, the Comfort Inn and Days Inn in Cadillac West, and she just does an awesome job. And she's behind the scenes, and she prefers it that way, but she's undergone a complete hotel renovation at one property, and while she's managing the other one, for years. So we gave her the hospitality partner of the year award. She really deserves it, and we're working with her on some ideas on how to figure out more ways to show appreciation to our hospitality staff, because they are hardworking frontline employees, whether it's front desk or housekeeping or anything like that. Those aren't always the easiest jobs, and we want to support all of our hotel staff, especially. Another award is the Alan Green Award, and that was in memory of a very instrumental guy that was with Cadillac Winter Promotions for a long time, and that's a more of a stewardship award, excellence in recreation, and that went to Travis Owens and Scott Sikoraki at the U.S. Forest Service for their huge help and their role in our rolling out our ORV scenic ride that went public on May 1st. And so if it wasn't for those guys, they're our big partners in this phase one of getting it rolled out.
As of today, that ORV partnership, that arrangement that you have is exactly a month old as of when we're listening to this. So how is that going?
It's going really good. We've gotten a ton of positive feedback on it from local people, from out of town people. We kind of did a good job of bringing people along and getting them ready for the idea of it, but it's pretty unique concept. It's not, a designated trail or a designated route. It's just like our recommended ride. So it's kind of hard to get over that first hurdle of making people understand what it is that they're looking at. But it's a map. It's a brochure map. We're getting it on all the digital GPS platforms here. It's kind of like the rest of our rollout. And but we've had people writing it on the first day. They're just waiting for this map to come out, and we've ordered thousands of them, and we've mailed them out every day since the launch. And we have a lot of people walk in and ask for it, grab it, and so it's gone really, really well. Super happy and looking forward to the phase 2. So we'll reprint that map every year, and the map will get bigger, and we'll cover more of our area with each phase of it. And so hitting more businesses that are points of interest along the ride. Mesick to Manton is our next. So we're covering all of western Wexford County, looking, north, and then heading east, and then wrapping around the rest of the way. But that's just a continual. This is just year one of who knows how many years it'll take us to fully flesh all that out.
So here we are on June 1st. We're getting ready to, some schools are already out. Some schools have another week or a little less than 2 weeks to go. We're into graduation season, and now we can start concentrating on summer. And there are so many things happening as you look at your schedule and scratch your furrowed brow. And
I'm leaving for Florida tonight, and I'll be back in a few days.
Okay, well then,
it's you gotta even squeeze your vacations, and it is so busy. So we just wrapped a statewide conference in downtown Cadillac called the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference, and that went really well, and it was great. It was a great way to show off downtown Cadillac spaces to people that haven't been here before or haven't been here in a while. And so we have, a sneak peek into Wildflower Bakery that's opening downtown, our new Mexican restaurant, My Mezcal, downtown in the old Herman's space. So a ton of small sessions were held all throughout the downtown, and sharing the entrepreneurial messaging and stories from other communities as well, not just Cadillac.
What was the target audience for that? I mean, what were the people, the people in attendance?
Yeah,
what were their job descriptions?
A lot of municipal workers. You've got like city employees, township villages, things like that, economic development type people. And so with any luck, there are a few empty spaces downtown. Somebody, comes to Cadillac and they feel the momentum, and they hear the good stories of things happening here, and they see an empty building, and maybe, who knows. But it's always good to get that big of a batch of people, so over 120 people from out of town, to go walk up and down the street for a couple days at the end of May. So it's a one-time deal. We won't be hosting again, but we attended the conference in Alma a couple of years ago, and I just remember walking away with such a good impression of downtown Alma that I'm like, oh man, we got to bring this here. And that was kind of the consensus. We brought a whole team of Cadillac people down there, and they're like, yep, we need to bring this to town. So
how did that come to be? How did it end up in Cadillac?
One of the sessions of the conference is, do you want to host a CEC conference?
Oh,
so we all showed up to that. We split up and we went to the different sessions because there's multiple sessions happening at once. But for that one, we all bombarded the session. They're like, we think Cadillac wants to host because all of these people showed up. So it worked out. But it's been good planning with the MSU Extension team, and they're our partner on that. And it's their conference, but we're the Cadillac team with the chamber and the city and Alliance for Economic Success. So whole big group of people helping to plan.
And it does seem like there's a lot of great collaborative work going on between organizations like yours and the chamber and that.
Yeah, there is. I've worked in this town for quite a while, and I don't really remember it being like it's only getting better too. So I really feel like a year from now, 2 years from now, we got our eye on some big things that would take every single one of those, the community foundation, all together. We're called the Sandbox, and the Cadillac Sandbox. So we meet regularly and we talk about bigger things that kind of touch all of our, long-term plans. And so we're all kind of getting used to how each other works, and I really expect some big things out of the full group. I
cannot wait to hear all about it. And that's what this show is all about. We're going to be finding out more.
Yeah, there was a session in the conference just with the Cadillac Sandbox explaining that collaboration, because it is not a normal thing. Mm-hmm. You go community to community. It's tough sometimes, and I know Cadillac's had phases of that, but we're in a good spot.
So part of the reason, in fact, the major reason why you're here and why we're doing this show is to talk about events coming up. So we are at the beginning of June. The busiest time of the year is coming up over the next few months. Between now and Labor Day, we're probably going to be concentrating on things that are happening in the next 4 to 6 weeks, mm-hmm. right, on the show? Yep. So tell us about your calendar.
Oh, my gosh. So June 9th, we have the Back to the Bricks Backroads promo tour. That originates out of Flint, and then they hit 4 towns throughout Michigan. We are lucky enough, probably because we're named Cadillac, and we're just kind of a car show town anyway, I feel mm-hmm. like. But they come through town for us every few years, and so they were here last in 21, and we're going to have them back, and that's 250 cars on Sunday, June 9th, parked on Mitchell Street from 2 to 6, and all that information is on our website at CadillacMichigan.com, and there's a Facebook event for it, and we've already got like 1,500 people tied to it, and so it's one of those easier things to help facilitate. They're actually staying 2 nights in Cadillac instead of just one. All the other towns, they stay 1 night, but for 2 hotel nights a piece, in early June, we're rolling out the red carpet for them.
Absolutely.
And we will, help to, they're so well organized though. Like there's not a ton of hand holding whatsoever. So the city is a good partner with us, on that, with the closing the roads and just accommodating. That's a lot of cars and a lot of traffic. So, but we've done it before. So that's kind of like easy one.
How about the participation that you get from downtown merchants? Because some choose to close on Sunday. So you probably would love to have a lot of those storefronts open on Sunday,
We've
right?
been hammering that home, and that's a day we don't have to try too hard because it's proven. They understand what it is. Even with all the new business owners we have downtown, they've heard about how good, that weekend is, and so everybody's ready to be open. And because it is a touring show, it's not like a classically local car show. Those people, those visitors to Cadillac really do want to get in the businesses, and they do a good job of picking up things and buying them before they head out of town. So we're happy to have them for 2 days, and then before they even leave town, their next stop is Claire after us, I believe. And before they even leave town on Monday morning, the Bandit Run comes to town, and it's never been to Michigan before, and this is 100 plus Trans Am cars, like what's from Smokey and the Bandit style, right? Black Trans Ams.
What Burt Reynolds drove in those famous movies, right?
Yep. And so we had never even heard of it, and it's a tour. It's another touring. It's a tour. It's not a car show necessarily, but so they're starting in. Forgive me if I get this wrong. I think they're starting in Holland, and they go up to Mackinac City, but they stop in Cadillac for lunch. So after 26 has got 100 plus boxed lunches ready to go and waiting in the market building, and they'll drive up and they'll be parked everywhere downtown. And so it'll be a pretty neat thing to see.
This will be on Monday.
On Monday, June 10th.
So
the day after.
So those 2 days are going to be crazy. So one day with...
Yeah, the 8th and the 9th and the 10th, there's going to be hundreds of extra really cool cars and floating around Cadillac.
Several hundred classic cars on June 9th. And then how many Trans Ams?
Over 100.
Over 100
But they're coming from
10th.
all over the country.
Okay.
And so, like I said, they haven't been to Michigan yet, but they go, they start Southwest Michigan up to Mackinac City, back down to Pontiac in just a matter of a couple of days. It is a true bandit run. It's Michigan bound and down is how they...
Not eastbound and down,
right?
Michigan bound and down. All right, so that's something you would definitely want. So if you happen to be driving around town on June 10th and you see an inordinate amount of Trans Ams, that's the reason why.
Yeah, and then they're very welcoming of the public. You can come down to the Commons area, anywhere downtown, and walk down and you can walk around and check them out. They like to be seen as they're touring. So yeah, we may even have some police help chase them out of town or something. I don't know. I just saw the movie like a week ago. I finally
was it your first time seeing it?
Yeah,
it was your first time seeing Smokey and the Bandit?
I'm very young, Rich.
I know, but CMT shows it 1,752 times a week.
Well, they must.
So you got your first exposure to Sheriff Buford T. Justice.
He had some good one-liners. I was shocked. I'm like, this movie is the corniest thing I've ever heard. And then he'd have a really good one-liner. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I might use that. But yeah, no, it's a little corny, but I get it. I could see where it become a cult classic. It
is definitely a cult classic, and obviously has led to a group of Trans Am owners.
And they're passionate. I joined their Facebook group, and holy cow,
are they?
They gear up for this, and they're ready for Michigan, and I feel like there'd be a fun group of people.
And you said they're coming from all over the country,
yeah,
not just the state, but all over the place.
Yeah,
okay.
I think they originated, somewhere in in the Plains area, Nebraska, Oklahoma, something like that, like Texas. They've been to all these other states. They have not been to Michigan. So it's cool that they just happened to stumble onto us. So we're pretty centrally located if you're, cruising up and down, up one side and down the other. Whereas we had a good chance. And plus, probably our name didn't hurt, I feel like.
So that's June 9th and 10th. So beyond that,
back to back.
What's next?
Oh, gosh. Well, our next big car show, which probably Kathy will talk more about next month, will be the 250 Model T cars, the International Ford Tour of Model Ts, which is an annual tour, but they haven't been to Michigan in about 15 years.
Wow.
And Cadillac is a small market for them to be in. They are going to take over the town, and that is the third week in July, and that caps off with the Arts Festival. They wanted to time it to so they'll be around in the week leading up to that, and then they'll be able to enjoy the Arts Fest while they're here too. So that's a big deal, and that takes a little bit more of coordination and things. They have multiple events throughout the whole week, side excursions. They can't get very far with their slow moving Model Ts, but they're staying like right here in Mackinac Timbers down the street here. It's like I just worry about them crossing 115 a little bit. It might be a slow moving. I know. It might be a slow moving traffic.
I can tell you that is a
We're gonna give them all the back roads.
that is a scary proposition to cross M115 from one of those side roads, whether either side of Mackinac Trail. You kind of got to line your car up so that you are perpendicular to the fast moving traffic. Yeah. So, but that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
lots of oohing going on.
There'll be downtown quite a bit, and then they side trips off into, I think they're going to Ebles and Falmouth, and just kind of in each direction any given day. So they travel a good amount of miles, but Kathy can probably speak more to that on the next show as we wrap up these June things and dive into that.
I'm looking at the calendar right now, and when will our June show be? Our June show is going to be, our July show is actually going to be the 6th, which is that will be right in the middle of Freedom Fest. So we'll be talking a lot about that. We should talk about it here, because I know on Friday night the 5th they're having a drone show, and on the 6th they're having the fireworks.
Yep.
So we'll be talking on Fireworks Day on July 6th. Next time we have a conversation.
Yeah,
so
they're doing both.
Yeah, and there is a lot of momentum, I think, on the committee that is putting that together. And I think, some people stepped up the year we didn't have one, which was 2022.
Yeah.
And there was a group of people that said, we can't have a community of this size and not have some sort of a celebration of the 4th of July.
Right. A lot of time, 4th of July is funny. You see some really, really small communities do some really big things. Lake City. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably quadruple in size, if not more than that, on that weekend. And so, Greatest Fourth in the North, that, we cover them too, and they just do a great job. And Lake City's a fun place to be on 4th of July. But Cadillac, they did a good job bringing it back, this group of volunteers. And the drone show was so well received during the Christmas tree lighting last November that there's enough, community interest and outside support to where they knew that they should try to look at it. And I don't think any other communities nearby are planning anything like that for 4th of July, but they're going to tie this into the Veterans Night, like the Fire and Water Military Tribute, tie it into that, because we do get some feedback of not just animals that don't like fireworks, but veterans and with the PTSD, side of things. And I, to be honest, like that light show was really neat, and it's just different, and it's fireworks are great, but at the same time, is it the same group that brought the drone show to and they came to Cadillac in last Christmas because they wanted to honor someone who, so they have Cadillac ties, so thank goodness, because I think that really made a difference in how it all ended, how it all turned out. But in the meantime, they did the Detroit Lions playoff drone show, and they do stuff all over the country. And so to have them locked in already for such a big weekend on the calendar for us is pretty cool. So we appreciate that and all the work that group is doing. It's a lot. Car show, it'll be the second annual car show for them. And car shows there's some of that stuff that's, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, because the city is pretty helpful and well versed in how best to run a car show, but it still takes a lot of when you're talking about registering hundreds of vehicles locally, that's a lot of time and a lot of organization to get that to work. And people are very quick to criticize. They are very quick to get on their keyboard warriors, and they get on and they're all critical, and it's like, okay, why don't you come up with an idea then? Right.
You know, I mean, put your money where your mouth is. So there are a lot of people who are volunteering their time to give folks things to do in and around the Cadillac area, and they deserve our support. Period.
Absolutely.
That's me getting on my side, and I'm stepping off.
It's you.
I'm stepping off my soapbox now.
No,
so.
that you can do that. Any show you have, just go ahead and end with that.
Yeah.
No, we do need a lot. It's been nice the last couple of years. Coming out of COVID, there was a dip, obviously, and then you lose, some people. I know a lot of the car show organizers, they're not here anymore, and we've lost them over the last handful of years. And so to see younger people step up, to see new people inject themselves into these committees, it's very promising.
And we need more of it.
Absolutely.
We need more of it.
Yep. And that's something that we're going to try and work on too as an organization, and through our the other organization that we are, which is Cadillac Area Festivals and Events, and how that nonprofit not only mini grants funds out to event organizers, but trying more to support the organizers themselves with trainings and tools and things like this, because it's probably easier to get people trained up than it is to run every event yourself. And so we have a lot of people that we work with that are on multiple committees, and that's not sustainable. And it's always better to just sit on a couple things that you're like really passionate about instead of spreading yourself too thin. And so any tools and support we can give to new people and just spreading the opportunities, because there's just a lot of times people, well, I would have helped, but I didn't know. That's like a common thing, and so that's kind of where we can help too.
It's kind of why we're here.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, if someone is listening right now and has an idea for an event, who do they talk to? Where do they go?
They can absolutely call us, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody about any idea, as long as they're willing to,
put a little sweat equity into it.
Right. Because that's what it takes. Anybody can come up with an idea, to be honest. It takes a little bit of follow through and execution.
And it takes a lot of people.
It does.
And it's very hard for one person to take care of all of that. I mean, the best events I have ever seen, everyone has their little place, their little spinning wheel, and they've got people working for them, and you have a half a dozen people working on a half a dozen different things, and then they all come together and they talk about it, and that's how an event comes together.
That I've witnessed the same thing. So, and I've seen big events fall apart, and I've seen little events grow into big events, and the ones that have a handle on it are the ones that do just what you described.
In the 2 minutes that we have left, and I know this is a winter thing, but what are the prospects of ever seeing the North American Snow Festival again?
I don't know if I can. I've had
there's
a document on my desk.
So there's some discussion. But we're not at liberty to talk about it quite yet.
Yeah, I don't feel I am either, but I'll just say that event carried a lot of history. It morphed a couple different times, and there's reasons why it went away a couple different times. It would take a lot to get it going again, but at the same time, also I wouldn't rule it out.
Our milder winters don't help either.
Yes.
Right.
And so it was the snowmobile festival, and then it was the snow festival, and there's different reasons for all that. But, to not be able to celebrate winter in Lake City's trying with their Winterfest, and it's fairly new, and several crappy winters, that they've had to deal with. So there would be a lot of contingency planning.
I remember the first winter I was here. It was consistently 40 to 45 degrees every day.
Oh, really?
This was the winter of 2007.
Okay.
And there was no there was no ice. There was no. I mean, and they just had to try to find a way to pull something together without any of the things that you need for a snow fest, for a snowmobile and
when that happens year after year after year, that's when stuff starts to grind to a halt. And, you need the sponsors, and they, new festivals pop up. And so to have that run as long as it did, going on 40 years, that's a good stretch. Not a lot of festivals make it that long, but if there's somebody, as long as there's somebody alive to remember it, there's probably a person trying to bring it back. So we heard rumblings, but we'll see.
I'm very glad that, getting back to the Freedom Fest, I'm happy that we have people who saw the need. And there are locals who would much rather stay local and go to fun events in and around Cadillac as opposed to Traverse City, where it's just absolute craziness.
Yeah.
And even Lake City,
right.
That's a small town that welcomes thousands of people all of a sudden.
I can go. So I live between here and there, and like being in Lake City at that time of year, and like not seeing anybody, it's like, holy cow. But then like the Cadillac stuff, it's almost like a homecoming too. Like there's different weekends, like Memorial Day weekend, the 5K, just different things. People come back for the parades. It's nice to, you might bump into somebody you haven't seen in a long time. So, definitely we need to keep those things going strong. And so our Visitors Bureau and Cadillac Area Festivals and Events are here to support in a couple different ways. Anything we want to circle back on the next minute or so, or did we cover it all? I did miss our last award. Okay. From our tourism celebration. So Cabernet Peaks and Pete Meyer and Tim and the crew there, they were ones that really made the most of a difficult season. And so we gave them it's the Excellence in Recreation Award for a Business. And so they were awarded with that. And they lobbied to get their electrical grid improved. And that happened just a couple of weeks before the start of winter. And without that, they might not have had much to do at all. And as I recall, they took to social media. They did a great job. They, in the most diplomatic way possible, called out on consumers' energy and said, hey, we need this. Yep. And very politely worded. It was very diplomatic. So effective though. And so they didn't have to complain, because they had their whole loyal fan base come to their rescue. And it really worked. And within a matter of just a few days, they had all of those upgrades, like miles of lines upgraded, and it got them through the season. And they made a ton of snow when they were able to, and they really held us up when other properties. If we didn't have that ski hill, it would have been a really bad winter, like really bad. So. Kudos to them. Let's hope that 2024-25 brings more snow. Yeah, I feel like it has to. Lindsey Westdorp is the marketing manager of the Cadillac Area Visitors Bureau. Follow them on Facebook at Visit Greater Cadillac. And coming up on July 6th, we will have Adventures in Cadillac episode 4, and we'll be talking about mid to late summer events. And just go to volunteercadillac.com if you want to check out a Facebook page that periodically shares some volunteer opportunities. It's something we're looking to expand on with a volunteer database and support our event organizers with. But for now, it points to that Facebook page, and that's where we're starting. So, Lindsey, thanks for your time. We'll see you next month. Or Kathy, whoever happens to show up. And we're going to try to bring another guest in relevant to that time of the month there in July. Mark it down in your calendar. It's the first Saturday of every month here in 107.1 The Drive, and that Saturday in July will be July 6th. Lindsey Westdorp, thank you. Thank you so much. This is Adventures in Cadillac on 107.1 The Drive.